Hi guys, Burbanks here, coming to you with another video. Today I'm going to be talking about something a little different. This is of course going to be basically a somewhat of a small podcast talking about the new game that will be releasing October 2nd, and that is known as Star Wars Squadrons. Now if you didn't know, the Star Wars Squadrons trailer was actually released yesterday, and it revealed an awful lot of stuff about the game. Of course, the game has an in-game campaign mode, which is set a few years after the Battle of Endor, which is quite cool because you're going as the Republic, the New Republic, and then you have them fighting against the remnants of the Empire. You have, of course, also a multiplayer where you can, of course, first test out 6 classes of fighter. You have the TIE Fighter and the X-Wing, which is more or less your medium based on all your combat features, etc. You have the TIE Interceptor and A-Wing, which is mostly about speed. And then you have 2 other ones, including the TIE Bomber and Y-Wing, which are mostly based upon being slow but having an awful lot of firepower. And then you have the TIE Reaper and U-Wing, which is mostly like your supply ships. Now, of course, you do have quite a lot of customization. You, of course, have 60 plus modifiers, also known as components, where you can obviously have your ship and, you know, you can change your engines, you can change your guns, you can change, like, your engines and your ion missiles, etc., etc. And you have 7 slots to select over 60 plus of these components, which are incredible. Of course, you have ones based on speed, maneuverability, firepower, and of course shields. You also have the choice to do, well, change the colors of different, well, of your fighters. Of course, you do have the either choice to go as the Empire or the Rebellion. Personally, I would go for the Empire because I'm more of an Empire person, as well as the fact that the TIE Interceptor is a really sleek ship and probably my favourite out of the whole fleet. But anyway, continuing on with the customization, you can change different skins of the actual fighter. There might be a few stripes that you can get for it. For example, you can make your TIE Interceptor red or blue or green, or black, or completely silver, or just have like a wee strip of red, which is actually really cool, because we've not really had a game where you can do that. You can only customize the skin and that's about it. Whereas here you can basically fully customize your ship, which is incredible. This is all done through the the Imperial mechanic or the Rebellion mechanic, which you will probably see in your flagship. Of course, another thing about customizing, you can also customize your characters. For example, you can have your Rebellion fighter pilot being a Trandoshan, or you can have them be human, or a whole bunch of other aliens from the Star Wars galaxy. And exact same for the Empire, you can change the head of your Imperial pilot. Like I said, you can also choose any side, so yeah. A bit more in detail of the campaign. The campaign is obviously, like I said, based off a few years after Battle of Yavin. It looks like you'll have to try and destroy, or if you're the Empire, you'd have to try and destroy the new ship that the Rebellion is building, and then, of course, if you're playing as a Rebellion, you go and defend that Rebellion ship. A bit of an Easter egg that we saw in the trailer was, of course, Hera Syndulla is in the actual trailer, which is quite cool. Nice to see her included in some things other than Rebels, which is obviously a nice addition. The main thing about the game is, of course, strategy between your whole entire squad. And we'll get to the other modes in a minute, but this is based on single player. Single player, you can either go and do the campaign, or you can go and do like your, similar to instant action or arcade mode in Battlefront 2. You have this mode where you can obviously go against the AI, and you're always in a team of 5. This includes multiplayer. Speaking of multiplayer, there's usually 2 different modes. You have dogfight, which is 5v5 teams. You of course have somewhat of a briefing room, so you can tactically destroy your enemy, which is quite cool. Of course, you can either have a full squad of X-Wings or something like that, but you're better off having a squad full of different ships, so then you all have your different unique abilities, and that way you always win in some way. The other modes, probably the best mode, is of course Fleet Battle, which again is a team of 5 versus a capital ship, and say you're playing as the rebels, and you would have to go and destroy 2 of the smaller capital ships, well, not capital ships, but somewhat of your medium-sized ships where they're not as important as the flagship. And then you have a little bit of a bigger ones towards the flagship, and then of course you have the main flagship where you, of course, if it was rebels, you have to destroy the Imperial Star Destroyer, which is absolutely massive. You destroy the cannons, and then from there you use your bombers to destroy it, which is also quite nice. There is also another thing about that is, like I said, there's a briefing room, so if you're going to multiplayer for Fleet Battle, you can discuss your strategy, as the game is mostly structured around strategy, which is quite nice because you have a little bit of a realistic side to the actual game. Speaking of realistic side, the only view that you have of you and your fighter is of course first person, which is interesting. I've actually been playing it quite recently in Starfighter Assault for Battlefront 2, despite the fact that it's a dead game mode in Battlefront 2. But I just wanted to get used to the controls of that. Of course, the cockpit is fully fitted out. Instead of Battlefront 2 where you can't really see your controls, this has full-on controls where of course you can hit certain buttons and things like that. You can transfer the power of the cannons to the engines, so then you can escape, or you can transfer the weapons, well, the thrusters to the weapons, which will give you a little bit more firepower. There's also a few customizations where you can obviously have more firepower. You can have like somewhat of a 180-degree turn, which is really sleek. You see it in the trailer, and it's awesome. As well as the fact that also in first view, or first person view, you only see out of the cockpit, which is a really interesting thing to add to it, because it makes it more realistic, etc. You can also have somewhat of a bobblehead type of thing on the side of like your X-Wing or something like that. In the trailer we saw one of a Wookiee, I think it was, and then there's some sort of keychain of a Millennium Falcon, which is a really nice Easter egg. Of course, all your abilities are displayed right in front of you on the controls, which is also ultra realistic, and yeah, it just makes it really fun. Of course, the graphics are made to be a little bit more retro, which is also really nice, and kind of gives it that nostalgia look of some of the early 2000 games with Star Wars. But other than that, that's just about a summary of Star Wars Squadrons. Personally, I'm really excited for this. Comment in the comments below whether you guys are excited for yourselves about this game. Of course, like I said, if you do like the content you see here, please comment, like, subscribe. And yeah, of course I might have a couple more fleet builds, micro fleet collab builds this week. But yeah guys, that's going to be it for me. I'm Infernal Bricks, and I'll see you guys later. Peace out.